Nirmala Sitharaman after mega tax relief for middle class. New bill incorporates tweaked tax rates and rebates. No end to Maha-Aghadi turmoil. Now Sharad Pawar meets Shiv Sena MLAs after praising Eknath Shinde's work. UBT Sena says red. Sickening, horrifying video of ragging in Kerala Nursing College. Students stabbed with a compass, tied to bed, dumbbells tied to his genitals. All eyes on big Modi-Trump meet in Washington. Talks on trade and tariff on cards, defense, deportation, diplomacy on the agenda. Prime Minister Modi's meet with Elon Musk confirmed tonight at 10 p.m. Starlink entry into India, biggest talking point. Prime Minister Modi to also meet Vivek Ramaswamy and US NSA Mike Waltz. And let's begin by getting you details of what's happening in the national capital. Over 4 days since that mandate for the BJP, while we don't just know when they'll go ahead and formally form the government, they're now planning what really the priority areas will be with a 100-day action plan. Now, even before choosing the chief minister and actually formally staking claim to form the government, the BJP in a slew of meetings has figured out how they will implement the Viksit Delhi Sankalp Patra. Now, this particular Sankalp Patra outlines BJP's 100-day roadmap and goals for the national capital. Cleaning Yamuna is one of the top priorities. Monsoon preparedness, implementing central schemes. All of this, the BJP is looking at ensuring is brought in within 100 days of power. All officials in Delhi are also in fact being told that they must be ready to achieve their respective targets in a matter of 100 days.
बुजुर्गों की पेंशन जो 2000 से 2500 की है वो डाटा पोर्टल पे है। उनको 3 महीने की पेंशन अभी तक नहीं मिली। उसमें हमने 500 रुपये बढ़ाना है, 2500 करना है। वो तुरंत जो सरकार बनने की पहली कैबिनेट की बैठक में हस्ताक्षर होंगे। उसके साथ साथ 70 वर्ष की आयु वाले बुजुर्ग, महिला और विकलांग और विडो, इनको 2500 से 3000 एक साइन होंगे, इनको जाएगा। आयुष्मान कार्ड 5 लाख रुपया प्रधानमंत्री की केंद्र की योजना, 5 लाख रुपया दिल्ली सरकार की भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार का, 10 लाख रुपए का आयुष्मान योजना का कार्ड गरीब लोगों को हवाले हो जाएगा।
So let's tell you about the priorities that the BJP has decided on as part of their 100-day action plan. First, number one, which is I'm sure a priority for every single Delhiite as well, is to clean the Yamuna. And the BJP has said that in their very first cabinet meet in Delhi, they will ensure that they focus on cleaning the Yamuna. Making Delhi monsoon ready, keeping in mind what happened in 2024, where you saw massive flooding taking place in some of the most high-profile areas of Delhi. The BJP has said we will ensure that Delhi is fully monsoon ready and there's no sort of flooding that's reported. All central schemes that were blocked like Ayushman Bharat will be implemented in a matter of 100 days in the national capital and focus particularly on the implementation of the Ayushman Bharat scheme. Remember that the Prime Minister has accused several parties of blocking these schemes in states, and here in Delhi, of course, it was the AAP in power previously. Now, all departments will be submitting progress reports every 15 days to, in fact, the government, to whoever the Chief Minister is or will be, and then based on that, they will ensure maximum efficiency. And that's how they plan to ensure that within 100 days, all the promises that they've made of transforming Delhi is taken care of. Now, the Aam Aadmi Party is now analysing why they lost the Delhi election, and AAP sources have told us has pinned the blame on losing the middle class vote in Delhi. They believe, and based on AAP internal huddles, what we've heard from our sources is that AAP actually believes that the middle class voters shifted over to the BJP, and so that made them feel the pinch. It led to their loss. Now the Aam Aadmi Party, after having lost Delhi, is focusing on the Punjab model of governance and kind of selling that, which is why they're going in an overdrive in Punjab. After the meeting that took place with Arvind Kejriwal in Delhi, an announcement is expected that the Maan government in a special assembly session will go ahead and make a slew of announcements to help the economically weaker sections of Punjab. Plots will be allotted to EWS, which is the economically weaker sections, and their citizens of the sections will get plots. And also the government has announced 10,000 rupees of cash aid to acid attack victims. Areas of the 6th Pay Commission will also be doled out. Let's bring in Amit Bharadwaj, who's joining us live with more details on this. Amit, for the last many months, of course, you've been in the heat of the Delhi elections. Tell us what you've picked up from your sources in the Aam Aadmi Party about the Delhi election laws. What have they really pinned it on?
Akshita, you know what Aam Aadmi Party in its initial assessment has found out is that there are key reasons for what happened, and what led to this Delhi debacle. Number one is that they believe that there is a fair chunk of middle-class voters which votes for the BJP in the Lok Sabha election and they vote for the Aam Aadmi Party in the Vidhan Sabha election. So this is a common voter pool in the national capital. So as per their assessment, while there were other issues like governance issues which were actually keeping them in confusion, but the announcement by the central government in the union budget that there will be no taxes up till 12 lakh of income, no tax regime till 12 lakh of income, is what affected the middle class the most, and the Aam Aadmi Party failed to analyze the impact of this particular announcement, and it was neither reflecting in its internal survey. So if you look at the timeline, on the 1st of February, the union budget was tabled, and that announcement was made in the union budget, and the campaigning in the national capital ended on evening 3rd February evening. So there was very limited time to assess that damage, number one. Number two, the lack of closed door meetings, that did not happen in the last leg of campaign. So the Aam Aadmi Party could not counter the BJP's claim or the BJP's campaign, which is they are the strongest method to counter the BJP. Traditionally they have been able to counter BJP through closed door meetings. That's the strong area of Aam Aadmi Party, but they failed to do so in the last leg of campaign, and eventually they believe that along with money and liquor, there was a certain sense of fear, the muscle power that was used in this election, which led to their Jhuggi voters stepping out in lesser numbers. Back to you, Akshita.
All right, Amit, thanks very much for getting us those details. Let's cut across to more breaking news coming in. Now, there's a war of words even before a government is formed in Delhi over power cuts in the national capital, as the BJP claims Aam Aadmi Party is resorting to revenge power cuts. Remember, there's a caretaker government under the leadership of Atishi right now in Delhi, and the BJP claims there are long power cuts in Delhi because of the Aam Aadmi Party exacting revenge for not getting the people's vote, people's mandate in Delhi. Now, caretaker Chief Minister Atishi has responded, saying that this is in fact the BJP that is to blame, saying that the AAP government always monitored power cuts. We ensured people didn't suffer, but you can already see that under the BJP, the power sector is collapsing.
अनेकों हिस्सों से BSES, टाटा पावर, ये 3 दिन में हुए दिल्ली में पावर कट है। ये दिखाता है कि आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार, अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की सरकार डे टू डे बेसिस पर एक घंटे पर पूरे बिजली के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को, पूरे पावर सेक्टर को मॉनिटर कर रही थी, सुपरवाइज कर रही थी। और ये दिखाता है कि जैसे ही आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार हटी है, गवर्नेंस से हटी है, पूरा पावर सेक्टर 3 दिन में कोलैप्स हो गया है।
Okay, we will track all the updates that come in from Delhi, as it's expected that in the next 2 to 3 days, it will be clear as to who will be leading the Delhi government, who will be the chief minister. But let's move on to other political stories and tell you about the Waqf showdown that played out in Parliament. The Joint Parliamentary Committee report on the Waqf Amendment Bill was tabled first in the Rajya Sabha, which was surprising, and then in the Lok Sabha. And it was met with sloganeering and ruckus from the opposition. You first had them claiming that opposition opposition's dissent notes were not a part of the report. The centre clarified that it's very much a part of the report, that nothing has been deleted. And yet, despite that, you saw the same ruckus playing out in the Lok Sabha.
Massive showdown over proposed Waqf law.
The old law had 298 sections.
से वक्फ बोर्ड के माननीय सदस्य मिले थे, उनके साथ चर्चा के बाद हुआ है, उनको मैंने मनीष तिवारी जी
A simple law.
The Joint Parliamentary Committee report on Waqf Amendment Bill was tabled in the upper and lower houses of Parliament, leading to sloganeering, ruckus and walkout.
So there is no simple.
Parliamentary Affairs Minister has categorically referred in this House to the report.
Sir, I rise to lay on the table a copy of record of evidence given before the Joint Committee on the Waqf Amendment Bill 2024 as listed against my name at serial number 3 in today's list of business.
The Congress lashed out, claiming some dissent notes were removed from the JPC report.
मेरे को बड़ा ताजुब लग रहा है। अरे आपको अगर कुछ करना भी है तो आप डिसेंट नोट के व्यूज को प्रिंट करके या अपने रिपोर्ट में डाल के बोलना चाहिए, उसके बजाय उसको
Okay, so we are getting you, of course, all those reactions that have come in from Parliament over the Waqf Bill discussion and the fact that the JPC report was brought in today. Surprisingly, it was first brought into the Rajya Sabha, where it was expected that it would be introduced in the Lok Sabha, considering all members who were part of the JPC, of in fact the committee, were Lok Sabha MPs. But let me also explain to you right now exactly what the Waqf Bill is all about. Why are we seeing this huge controversy over the Waqf Board? So let's explain to you what exactly is Waqf first. Waqf is defined as a property that's given in the name of God for religious and charitable purposes. Here's the exact definition. Waqf means the permanent dedication by any person of any property for any purpose recognized by the Muslim law as pious, religious or charitable. Now, the proceeds are typically used to go ahead and finance educational institutions. It's also used to finance graveyards and, of course, importantly, mosques as well, and finally also for shelter homes. This is what, in fact, the money is used for. Now, here's an important point that you must note. As per Sharia law, land that's once given to the Waqf, it cannot be reversed. Notably, also, their holdings have actually surged in the last few years, doubled since 2009. Let's explain to you now the history of the Waqf Act. This act first came into being, was first passed by Parliament way back in 1954. Subsequently, there were changes made. It was actually repealed, and then a new Waqf Act was passed in 1995 that gave more powers to the Waqf boards. And then again, a few years later, in 2013, there were changes made. This act was further amended to actually give far-reaching powers to the Waqf board to designate the property as Waqf property. Let's now tell you all about the functions of the Waqf board. Currently, and here's how it works, it's not just one Waqf board, it's every state has a Waqf board, and that's headed by a chairperson. 1 or 2 nominees from the state government are there, Muslim MLAs, Muslim MPs, Muslim members of the State Bar Council, Islamic scholars, all of them are part of these boards. And these boards have powers under the law to administer property, to take measures for the recovery of lost properties, and actually go ahead and sanction the transfer of immovable property. The Waqf Board has also been granted unrestrained power under the law to register properties. So how many Waqf properties are there in the country? Currently, these Waqf boards have over 8,70,000 immovable properties, 16,173 movable properties, and over 3 lakh estates, 3,56,031 estates to be exact, in more than 8 lakh acres of land. Let's tell you now about the Modi government's proposed amendments to this act. We'll break it down point by point. First, the draft legislation is likely to propose the restructuring of Waqf boards. The amendments aim to enhance inclusivity, and this is an important one. It will ensure women representation on all Waqf boards. Secondly, the government plans to make it mandatory for the Waqf board to actually register its property in the district collector's office so that all of the property can be evaluated. Third, all claims made by the Waqf board on properties will now undergo mandatory verification as well. Okay, so that's why you're seeing this huge controversy over the Waqf bill. The opposition maintains that this is anti-religion, anti-Muslim, which is why they continue to oppose it. But let's talk about the other big headline that came in from Parliament. The Lok Sabha passing the new income tax bills. Amid the ruckus over the JPC Waqf bill, you had Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman tabling the new income tax bill in the lower house after the cabinet nod. The bill was passed by the Lok Sabha despite opposition MPs opposing it. The bill, which will replace the Income Tax Act of 1961, aims essentially to simplify and modernize India's tax system. The new bill will reduce tax disputes. Opposition MPs, in fact, called the bill too mechanical and complicated.
With your permission, sir, I rise to move that the House agrees to authorize Honourable Speaker yourself, sir, to constitute a select committee of this House on the Income Tax Bill 2025. The terms and conditions regarding the committee will also be decided by the Honourable Speaker. The committee shall make a report by the first day of the next session. So I introduce the bill.
प्रश्न ये है कि माननीय मंत्री जी द्वारा प्रस्तुत प्रस्ताव को स्वीकृत किया जाए। जो सदस्य प्रस्ताव के पक्ष में वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य प्रस्ताव के पक्ष में ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में प्रस्ताव स्वीकृत हुआ।
इनकम टैक्स बिल को तो हम इंट्रोडक्शन का ही अपोज किए थे। उस समय हंगामा भी चल रहा था, मैं भी अपोज किया क्योंकि मैं बोला कि इससे कोई फायदा नहीं होगा, क्योंकि ये बिल भी बहुत लंबा हो गया। नया बिल जो आया 626 पेज, तो पहले बिल कॉम्प्लेक्स था, तो ये और भी कॉम्प्लेक्स है।
Now, there's a whole lot of questions about the income tax bill and how it affects you and me. Does it make sweeping changes? What does it really mean for us? So let's explain that for you. Will the new bill introduce new taxes? No, the bill essentially seeks to streamline the tax laws, especially the new tax regime versus the old tax regime. So are we going to see new income tax rates or slabs? Well, that's something that's determined by the finance bill, the budget, which is already, of course, something that we saw last week. When will the new income tax law be implemented? Well, it will be effective from April 1st, 2026. I'm talking about the Income Tax Act of 2025. Now, will the IT Act end all of the confusion over the assessment year? Well, that's the idea of, in fact, the income tax bill. There will be only a tax year now, so all that confusion over assessment year comes to an end. As far as financial years go in the dateline, is there any change? Absolutely not. It remains the same. April 1st to March 31st is one financial year. That doesn't change whatsoever. Now, what about the old tax regime versus new tax regime? Does the new law effectively end old tax regime? Not the case. Old tax regime remains an option for those choosing it, but it does in fact talk about giving better options if you choose the new tax regime. Does the new IT law give choice between the new tax regime and the old tax regime? Well, those who choose the new regime cannot revert back to the old regime. So that's an important one. Once you choose the new regime, you're on the new tax regime. You can't go back to the old tax regime. Is the income from crypto, from NFTs also included? Well, here's an important point. It will attract flat 30% income tax and 1% TDS. Are the new IT laws more compressed? Well, previously, the existing act was nearing 900 pages. So compared to that, yes, the new bill is more compressed in the sense that it's got 622 pages. It's still a whole lot. What's the biggest change in the new IT Act? It simplifies, it updates tax definition for the digital era, and that perhaps is the biggest takeaway from the bill that was tabled today in the Lok Sabha. I'm slipping into a short break here on 6 p.m. Prime. Coming up on the other side, we'll get you details of a truly horrifying incident that's been reported in Kerala. An incident of ragging, videos of which have now emerged. We're going to talk about this incident and what kind of action the 5 students involved in this incident are facing.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
They decode the complex, making sense of the battle for power.